Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Finale. I want to welcome you all to Real Estate Talk TGIF. And normally that stands for Thank God It's Finale. But today we're going to say Thank God It's Flag Day. And today is Flag Day, June 14th. It is also Friday. So we're going to say thank God it's Finale and thank God it's Flag Day. But you guys looking at Friday. But Friday to me, Friday is just another day. Monday, just another day. People love Fridays, hate Mondays. Don't know why. I love every day. And maybe it's just the way I wake up. I am so happy to have a great man here with us today as my guest. His name is Sekou Pyle. He is the Director of Growth at the Devoe Group with eXp Realty, brokered by eXp Realty. He is also the originator of 2K Wednesdays, which we're going to talk about. He is a people's people, one of the best trainers, coaches, probably the best I have seen. And it's all about making contacts and building a business. So Sekou and I have started collaborating on some things. And I think we've got to be fast friends because we have a like mindset. And it's really, we really align really, really well, which is one of the things I say. Sekou, thanks for coming on. How you doing?
Wow. Thank you for having me, man. I'm awesome. I'm pumped, man. I'm jumping in my boots because this is usually the end of our lead generation section of the day. I've told the agents that I'm working with today that I'm making 100 contacts today, no matter what. So I'll be counting these contacts, these viewers as contacts today, if you don't mind.
Awesome. No, I don't mind at all. So when you say 100 contacts, tell me about that a little bit.
All right. Well, I mean, as a living, breathing agent, right? You go out and your business is built on a daily basis. Yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow hasn't gotten here yet. It is what you do today that is going to generate your income. So if you talk to, I don't know, any of the statisticians, I don't know if I'm saying that word right.
Yeah, you're fine.
If you talk to any of the statisticians, they say every 100 conversations you should be writing a contract, right? And there should be a contract written. Right. So I'm an impatient man, so I like to write a contract a day. And so therefore, my 100 contacts, our 100 conversations should lead me to at least one contract a day, which would give me 5 contracts a week, and would give me an amazing life if even half of those closed throughout the year moving forward. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. So tell me how you put that together at the Devoe Group and how it's worked for you there and what you're doing with that.
It's math, right? I went to New York City public school, so I'm only so good at doing these calculations, right? But I figure it like this: if I can get 100 people on the phone, I can get at least 90 of them to say no to me, and I'll know for sure that it is a yes or a no, right?
Right.
And I get 10 of them to say maybe or yes, right? And so that's really all I'm looking for every single day is 10 people to say maybe or yes to me, and really all I need is one. So most people have an apprehension about getting no. I'm actually looking forward to no. I'm planning the failure. And so what my crew and I do is we get together in the mornings from 8 a.m. to 11 every day, and we get our no's. We get our no's out of the way. And it is awesome. And not our nose, right? We get our nose out of the way. And it literally makes the day better. And I all day long, I sit in the office and I ring this bell. This bell represents an appointment.
Wow.
And we do it as a group. It lessens the load, right? Many hands make light work, right?
Right.
So it lessens the load, and we get to laugh about some of these no's and the resistance that we get rather than lament them. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time.
That's really cool. And it goes to a lot to one of the things I started talking about last week on my lives, which I did a 4-part series, and I call it GCAP, which is a basis of my coaching program, where it's all about it's all about structure, exposure, and differentiation. But GCAP is goals, committing to those goals, the action steps to get to those goals, and then taking those 3 things and then going out and performing. So tell me what a new agent or any agent can do to actually perform where they don't forget about their goals and commitments and doing the actual action, because the performance puts all the three together.
Yeah. Well, so I'm the elephant in the room, right? So I am the guy that's like, you can have the best laid plans. You can want to do, you could be getting ready, you could do the research, all of those things. But if you don't literally take the action, if you don't take the action, it's worthless, right? Well, you've taken it a step further by talking about performance. So the action that you're taking is creating data, it's creating a response. There's a feedback to the action that you're performing. So me just picking up the phone and calling 100 people a day is not going to increase the amount of business that I'm doing. It'll put me in front of more people, but if I'm not looking at the data, if I'm not looking at how it is performing, then I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but certainly it's more time consuming than it has to be. Right. So a new agent needs to know how many X they need in order to create a Y, how many Ys they need in order to create a Z. Right. And so in my case, it's how many contacts do I need to create an appointment? How many appointments do I need to create a contract? Right. So as a new agent, contacts, appointments, and contracts. I'm not even talking about closings. I'm not talking about conversion. I'm not talking about anything else. How many contacts does a new agent need to create an appointment? How many appointments do they need to create a contract? That basis right there is your speedometer, right? And so me, at 100 contacts a day, I could tell you daily that it takes me about 22 to 23 contacts to create an appointment. I can tell you that I'm basically 1-for-1 appointments to contracts, but because I only work with the most motivated buyers and sellers in the world, and in this case, agents and brokers, I'll tell you that I get to turn down more business than most people meet with. Does that make sense?
It makes an awful lot of sense. And the things we talk about in my Skill Builder program is exposure, right? And exposure creates the contacts. And but you've talked about everything almost so far in my, but that's kind of stuff we work on, have been really successful with in the program. Is you're talking structure. The first thing you talked about was 8 to 11, right?
Yep.
You talked about that structure, and those 8 to 11. When I talk about that stuff, there's a lot of different things that you can do in that 8 to 11, but it all has to do with conversion. And I use the word conversion. You're using the word contacts, and the difference, there's no difference, because you're making the calls, but just because you make a call, that's not a contact. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'll probably make 1,100 calls to make my 100 contacts.
In one day?
In one day. I use a dialer. I have 3 lines going. I use my text. I use my instant. I use every means of communication to make these contacts.
So, all right. So, I'm thinking about, one of the things about my head, I mean, one of the things I remember Tom Ferry saying is that your head's a scary place, and I know mine is. And I know really now that yours is even more scary. Right. You got no hair. Right. So, and mine's like white and shit, right? So what I feel in my head, we're talking about 100 contacts, 1,100 calls, right?
Dials, yeah.
Right, dials, right? And I'm thinking in my head, how the hell am I going to do this? But if you think about it and you take a level look at it and calm down, okay, how are you going to do it? Well, we've got so many different ways. No, people don't understand. Just separate and organize the noise.
Yeah.
The noise is this stupid thing, which is called a phone. It's also called a text machine. It's also called a direct message machine.
That's right.
It's also called a video camera. And then we've got so many other things like email, so many other things that you can do. So you can actually do several things at once. And when I actually put myself in the middle of your system there, I did texting. Yeah. I did direct messaging on Facebook. I did direct messaging on Instagram. And I was able to get a bunch of contacts. I didn't get 100.
It's okay.
But I was able to get a bunch of contacts. And it's just amazing how it works. Now, tell me about the correlation with the contacts to appointments, which you just started talking about.
Sure. So I mean, on average, for me, it's about every 22 contacts I set an appointment, right? And so if you do the math, that's 4 to 5 appointments a day, right? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, right? So that's
Right.
4 or 5 appointments a day, right? And so for me, it's no longer me worrying about what to say. It's no longer me worrying about who to call. It's just at this point, how many can I get into a 20-minute period, basically, right? How many contacts can I get into a 20? So I'm constantly in competition with myself, right? If you think about a speedometer, right? They say miles per hour, right? So that's how you rate how fast you're going. It's your miles per hour. Sometimes you're stopped at a stoplight. Sometimes you have to slow down and take a curve, et cetera, et cetera. But the basis is I can make it to DC in 2.5 hours, where it might take 4 hours to get to Washington, DC, right? Miles per hour. Because I'm going to speed, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. In our universe, it's contacts per, and in my case, it's contacts every 20 minutes, right? Because my contacts per hour is going to be based on how many I can cram into a 20-minute block, right? So like you said, I send out 25 texts at a time. I don't count them as a contact until they return the message to me. I instant message, I direct message 20, 25 at a time, not in what do they call those, group texts, because you're a lunatic if you send out those many
Yeah.
texts in the group text, right?
Yeah.
But that's operating in the background, right? So you figure it like this: if I send out 20, 40, 60 texts, let's call it, right, in a 20-minute period, you could send out a bunch in 3 seconds, right? You just
Yeah.
copy and paste, copy and paste. So if I send out 60 in a 20-minute period and 20 return a message to me in a 20-minute period, most real estate agents, most salespeople, if they're going to make contacts, will only make 20 contacts a day so that
Right.
they can have 100 a week. I've done that in what, 3-4 minutes,
Yep.
5 minutes, right? And while that's operating in the background, I'm making my calls. So the success and failure of the calls is almost secondary to the success and failure of the text messages that I'm sending out, or instant messages that I'm sending out. So I'm constantly in a state of improving my mood, improving my mindset, improving the ability to help people by just reinforcing the contact ratio. On average, I make probably about 20 contacts an hour.
So you talked about 25 texts at a time. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So you probably have some people who are watching this now or will watch this mind spinning, because how you doing that?
I use apps. I just use apps. If I didn't use apps, I would just copy and paste it over and over again. I mean, so think about the new agent. The new agent doesn't have a bunch of money, and they
Right.
have to pay a bunch of this and a bunch of that, and everybody's coming at them saying, "Hey, sign up for these leads. Hey, sign up for that lead." Blah 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 blah. I'm saying that in your phone right now, you probably have 12 transactions that are ready to go, just right now, ready to go. And the only thing stopping you from communicating with them is whatever reservations you have around texting or calling, et cetera, et cetera. So once you write that message, hey, and I'll tell you what the message is if you guys want to know, right? I say, hey, thanks for your support and for trusting me with all your real estate needs, period. That's it. It's one sentence. There's no name. There's no call to action. There's no ask, nothing. Thanks for your support and for trusting me with all your real estate needs. If you use NLP, it's an assumed close, right? It's an assumptive close, right?
Right.
So I send that out, and it's just persistent for me, right? I could go through my phone book and I can see the last time I texted them, whether or not it was a gratitude text, whether or not we had a communication, whatever. I can just literally just send the text. Some people in my phone only get gratitude texts from me. They never return the message. It doesn't matter. They are a part of the process. I'm going to continue to send that out. I do use an app called Mighty Text, but it only works for Androids. It doesn't work for iPhones, or at least that's what they told me, right?
Okay.
So if you have an iPhone, sorry, right? But you, you're not limited to those apps. I literally just copy and paste before I found that app. I would
Right.
just copy and paste 20 times.
Right. And that did take a little time, but I want to tell anybody who's listening or watching this, there is a CRM which you can do bulk text on, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's Lion Desk. You
Yeah.
can do bulk text on that. And when I had my brokerage company, that's how I would get messages out to the entire company, because they'd all get a text from me. And at the same time, like if we were having a meeting or something was happening, they'd all get a text from me, and it works great. It does come from a different phone number, but your responses come right back to you. So there's just a little clue. And LionDesk, honestly, cheapest CRM out there and best bang for the buck there is. But that's beside the point. So you're making all these contacts. Now, contacts to appointments. You said once you get an appointment,
I'm nearly 1-for-1, right? So in the beginning, you'll probably have a 20% fall off rate. Let's say you'll win 80% of the time when you go on the appointments. I will say, so let me just be very clear, right? So a contact for me is any living, breathing adult human, right? So anybody that I talk to that's not a kid, that's not a robot, that's not a dog, right? As long as it's an adult human that I'm talking to, it's a contact. It does not have to have any connotation with real estate. I don't have to have a real estate conversation. I don't have to be talking about an open house. It's just any living, breathing adult human I talk to. So I start counting from the moment I leave the door. You see the neighbor, what's up, neighbor? How you doing? That's one contact. Like you see, you stop at the gas station, you speak to the gas station attendant, Joe, hey Joe, what's up? That's a contact, right? All the way through to the end of my lead generation session. So I'm counting every living, breathing adult human. Then, in order for me to count it as an appointment, right, it's some really specific things that have to happen. So I have a wide net when you come down to talking about a contact, and a very narrow description when it comes down to talking about an appointment, right? And so when I talk about the newer agents having an 80% success rate, it's probably because they are using a wider net to talk about what an appointment is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily go on previews, although I would consider a preview an appointment for a newer agent.
Right.
Right. And so the preview might not turn into a listing or a buyer for a newer agent. Whereas for me, since I don't go on them, I go on less appointments, but I'll pretty much 1-for-1 take the listing or deal with the buyer. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. So, all right. So a new agent we're talking about, okay, says, well, you know what? I really don't have a list of people I can talk to. I hear people talk about knocking on doors and FISBOs and expireds. Tell me how that works in to what you're talking about.
Okay. So just so that you understand, I deal with things from a cost perspective, right? So what costs the least amount of money costs the most amount of time for you as a real estate agent. What costs the least amount of time for you will cost the most amount of money. Does that make sense?
Very much so.
Right. So door knocking and calling FISBOs from Craigslist and ForSaleByOwner.com and calling the people out of your phone doesn't cost anything, but it's going to take more time for you to develop it. So you go door knocking, it's going to take you a day or two before you have enough input, right, feedback for you to take a listing or for you to take a buyer, right, on average. Calling for sale by owners, it's going to take 5 or 6 contacts with that same for sale by owner before you convert it into an appointment and therefore a contract. Whereas if you go to the other end of the spectrum, right, and you start paying for your FISBOs, you start paying per click, you start paying for lead services, you're not investing a lot of time, but it will cost you more money per click to talk to those same people, right? Now, here's the funny thing. It's going to take the same amount of conversations to convert all of them, right? So I have to talk to a FISBO 4 to 5 times before I convert them. It's fine with me. You're going to have to talk to FISBO 4 to 5 times before you convert them. The faster you're trying to convert FISBOs, expireds, et cetera,
right,
the faster they run away from you, right? So for me, conversion in this case is great open conversation, leads to another conversation, leads to another conversation, leads to a meeting, leads to a close. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Right.
What about Okay, so you get somebody on the phone and they hang up on you.
I love that. It gets me to the next call, right? So people talk about go for no. I go for the hang up. As a matter of fact, I'll say more outrageous stuff so that they hang up. I have one rule when it comes down to calling people: don't hang up first.
Don't hang up first. You
Right.
know, it's odd. This is all great stuff because this is usable just as much for a experienced agent as it is for a new agent. Because look, I specialize in working with new agents, stuck agents, frustrated agents, ones that don't that just can't break that glass ceiling to the next level, even if they're doing well. And this is one of the things when I tell them this kind of stuff, they say, "Wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh?"
Don't hang up first.
The issue I think that we live with in our business these days, and I think it's been getting, it's been increasingly less, is the amount of support and maybe training or whatever you want to call it on a basis of the managers, the brokers. Because let's face it, our business models have changed.
Yep.
And that's why one of the things that I'm doing is I don't, in my business, I don't sound like every other coach that's out there. And, I'm utilizing great things. Like I learned from everybody, like
Right.
from you. I've learned an awful lot from you. And I use other things from, I'll mention Tom Ferry and all those people that I learned from, but I'm doing things in a different way. And I believe that that's what agents need to do, is to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And everything that you're talking about today is different. And you know why it's different? Because agents won't do it.
Yeah.
It's plain and simple.
Well, David,
Right?
what you're talking about is a simple formula that I think most of us have gotten away from. And I say most of us because I mean, I'm guilty of it too at times, like trying to take the easier road, trying to do it faster, cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. Agents are connection machines.
That's right.
The goal of the agent is unfortunately has become bastardized. It's like, how do I get the richest? And I think, and this is my opinion, and maybe it's shared by other people out there, I know you share this similar opinion, is I think that the goal of the agent should just be, how can I help? Like,
Yeah.
how can I help? How many different ways I can help? How many different people can I help? How many times can I help the same person?
So
You know what I mean?
exactly. This morning I had a new agent call and I had two things to what you're saying. One was I asked the question, what is your job? What are you selling? Right? So of course the answer is, well, I'm selling a house or I'm selling my service. And actually you're not. What you're doing is you're selling a future, not a thing.
That's
You're
right.
selling, like if you're working with a buyer, you're selling, what their happiness or their lives, their things that are going to happen to them in that house. I mean, there's more to it than just bricks and mortar. And I don't believe you could ever sell a house, honestly. I believe if people love the house, they're going to buy it, or if they have a need, they're going to do it, right? The other thing that you talked about that I wanted to hit on was everybody's concerned about that shiny object, that silver bullet, that app, right? I had a question today is, what do you think about this app? What do you think about that app? I said, don't worry about apps. Don't worry about apps. What you need to do as a new agent, as an experienced agent, without question, you need to communicate, be nice, and connect.
So we have an acronym, right? MTFI, right? MTFI, make them feel important.
Right.
That's your app. There's your app right there. MTFI, make them feel important. Right. And so I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything like that, but all of that stuff is useless. All of it. All of it is useless. Every CRM, every single app, every single dialer, every single map, every single CMA creating wizard, all of it is useless if you're not talking to people.
Right.
You can get thousands of clicks. You can get thousands of likes. People can view your videos. You could do all of that. If you're not talking to the people who are liking and commenting, clicking on, following up, if you're not talking to them, you're wasting your time, energy, and money.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, though I talk about the exposure part and the differentiation part. Let me talk about that real quick, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about in person. I'm talking about even some mail, believe it or not. But I'm always talking about, the phone call. I'm always talking about that and talking to people. If you just do one without the other, okay, you might have a chance. But if you put it all together, here, how's this? Okay, how's this sound? So people love door knocking. Not me. I don't preach it. I will talk about target door knocking. What does that mean? Maybe there was an expired from 3 years ago. So you go knock on the door. And I want to full disclosure, Oscar Nunez was on the show in January. Great agent, young guy. This was his process, part of his process.
I had breakfast with him the other day.
Okay, great, right? So this is one of his processes, right? That's made him do very, very well. Target door knock. Talk to them about their house. Say, hey, you know what? You were going to sell. You didn't. What happened? Where were you going to go? Yada, yada, yada. It's the same old conversation. And then you've made a face-to-face. Then you friend them. Then you connect with them. Then you do this because they're going to watch your stuff now. Now they're not only see, there's three things, right? There's unaware, aware, and you. Unaware is they don't know they want to sell or buy. Aware is so they know, which he did, right? And then it's being aware of that and being aware of you. And that's the process that you're going to go through with some of them. And full disclosure, Grant Wise. Anyway,
there you go,
so
my man.
I always like to give out people I've learned stuff from. But the thing is that if you're not talking to them, either it's face to face or on the phone, the other stuff doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Right?
I'm gonna, and I know we have a time constraint, right? So here's the thing for me, right? So you go out door knocking and it works. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Add to it, right? You're dialing and it's working. Keep doing it.
Right.
The thing for me is I look for efficiency, right? So I'm a high volume seller, right? I'm not doing 24 deals a year. I'm doing 240 deals a year. I'm doing 400 deals a year. I'm pushing myself to break my records, right? So I'm going to constantly be looking for more ways for me to make more contacts. I'm not going to look for instead of ways. Instead of doing this, I'm going to do that. So door knocking for me is phone calls light. Go. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, this is all about your work. This is all about. This isn't something that we talk about. And okay, I'm going to do it on Thursday. Okay, I'll do it next week. Right. Tell me about the board there.
Right. So on this board right now is over 500 contacts. Right. We did that in 2 hours this last Wednesday. Right. So I set a goal for myself to make 100 contacts a day. I don't stop until I hit that goal. Right. And if I am short, I'm short at 60, 70, 80 contacts that day. Right. That is still better than most agents do in a week, let alone a month or a year. Right. So all of these hashtags, all of these things represent a conversation that I had with a human being that could lead to another conversation, that could lead to a contract, that could lead to a close. I'm listening.
So that goes on. You do that. You do that every day, but that one was specifically for Wednesday, correct?
Right. Okay. So every Wednesday I get together with as many of you all as possible. You've been a part of it. All of the agents in my organization are part of it. And then any agent that is out there that's interested in growing, we don't restrict it, right? We say, come on down, make 2,000 contacts with us today. What is your contribution to that 2,000 contacts, right? And what happens as a result? So I'm going to tell you a quick story, right? So last week we had 1,197 contacts on the board. There were 86 leads and another 80 appointments that were set. So as a result, right? And so if you were to do the math on that, that's over $1 million worth of GCI, even if we failed at half of what we're doing. Okay. So here's the greatest story that I think came out of it, right? One of the agents that was that was in this communication push, right, is a newer agent and is not a part of my organization, gave me a call and was like, oh my God, I was using those gratitude texts and my mother's best friend sent me a message that said, I didn't realize that you were a real estate agent. I need your help now. $1.2 million listing down the shore.
How about
Brand
that?
new agent doing gratitude with a free text to a rando person, right? It's her mom's best friend, right? This is not, I'm just sending this out. I don't know what the response is going to be. She took a $1.2 million listing. She's been an agent, what, 60 days?
Yeah, and this is not a trick. This is not like a tip or a gimmick. This is not.
No.
This is called what you do on a daily basis as your business. I could say job, I could say work, but if you do the work in your business, it's not going to be a job. It's going to be fun and you love it.
Yeah. I look forward to the mornings now, man. I get together with people who at varying ranges, right? So if you're struggling, right? If you're struggling to do a deal, you're a new agent, you're an older agent, you're struggling to do a deal, understand that everything that you do today is going to show up in 90 days. Now, you could have a more immediate response. There could be a firecracker that goes off. The reality is that the work that you do today will show up in 90 days, right? So this kind of dedication, every single day for me is day one of a new 90-day cycle.
Look, and as I've said to you before, every day we get a fresh 24. It's like
Yeah.
the 24-second clock in the NBA. Every time that ball hits the rim, it's a fresh 24. And today we woke up, I got a fresh 24. And here's the thing, whether you like Mondays or not, or whatever the start of your week is, you know what you get? You get a fresh 168.
That's right, brother.
168 hours in a week, right? Use it to the best of your advantage. And you know what you feel on the inside is what you're going to project on the outside. And I know there are people out there that, you know, mindset isn't perfect and there's issues with mindset. Look, I know I'm that way too. I've got issues with that as well. But I work on it every freaking day.
Yeah.
And a ritual helps me. It helps me get through. It helps me get psyched for the day. And, you know, I read every day. There's a lot of things to do. But remember one thing. This is your business. All right. It's an individual business. It's not something, it's a contact sport, as I've heard Dave say and other people say, and I've said it, you know, and we just got to keep doing it. It's not like I said, okay, well, I'm going to make calls on Thursday. I'm going to make calls next Tuesday. No, man, every day. Sekou, tell me about your group. We've got plenty of time, but
Okay.
You know, we are on 30 minutes. Tell me about what you do, what about your group and all the people you work with.
All right. So I am a part of an organization, right? So most people call it a team, right? A team, yes, we are a team, but I don't think that that's a powerful enough word, right? So the way most teams are structured, without judgment at all, is traditional, right? There's a rainmaker or a group of rainmakers, and then they trickle down to the other agents, and there's some symbiosis there. We decided to go at it a different way. We decided to go at it like Arthur and the Round Table, the Knights of the Round Table, where each person is a master of their realm, and we come back to the table to make the entire process better. We come back to the table to innovate. We come back to the table to grow. We work with each other. We grow with each other, and it's been incredibly lucrative. It's been incredibly powerful. We then take profits and put them back into the company to then grow more opportunities for the agents, et cetera, et cetera. It's the idea that if we are really focused on the person next to us succeeding, right? So we take this model that the model makes it really easy for us at EXP, right? Because there's reasons why we are connected with each other, whether we're in the same group or not, right? Okay. But we take this model and we really expand on it to see how far we can go and how far we can grow. And so I am focused on helping the person next to me at that round table develop the best that they can do. The person next to me is focused on me, and so on and so forth. We work across the table from the shore all the way up, down. We got people in Orlando, people in Boston, et cetera, working together to create a constant network of information that goes back and forth. As a result, we continue to do tons and tons of transactions. We train the agents so that they don't need us. We treat the agents so that they never leave us.
That's pretty cool.
It feels amazing.
You know, one of the things you said, you talked about the pyramid, which is also, if you turn it upside down, is a
Right.
funnel. But a funnel is really what you're looking at, an opposite funnel. But there's also that thing. Jeff Bezos said the funnel is dead, and there's a thing called the flywheel now. And the most important part of that flywheel is the delight part of it, right? I got this from Rebecca Mountain, by the way. Look her up. She's amazing. She's a coach out of Canada, good friend of mine. And it's about the delight part. You just keep delighting people, you keep growing your business. And the more you delight and work with other people and worry about their business as much as you worry about yours, it can't lose. It will always win.
Yeah. And the wins are infectious, right? So Ryan, who is an amazing developer, he's newer to all the aspects of the business. However, he's a legacy, right? So like the family does it, et cetera, et cetera. So Ryan is building an incredible business. And, as with everyone, when you're building a business, and especially if you're doing it grassroots and you're trying to do it on your own, et cetera, he runs into complications. Well, Devin, who's another agent on the team, who's working his behind off, is filling in the gaps and spaces so that Ryan can then focus on X. Devin is now helping with Y and Z. You understand what I mean? So it's like, it really, 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 Tatiana, what's up? It really, really becomes powerful, and we have a great time doing it.
That's fantastic. So look, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today. It was short notice. I do appreciate that.
It was my pleasure.
I just want to alert everybody that we've got some great people coming up as the time goes on. As everybody remembers, I talked about Tom Ferry. He had to postpone till August, and Tom will be on in August. But next week, we have the one and only Lee Brown coming on from the Carolinas, and then Kayla Laos from Arizona, who's written a book. She's been in Inman, and Lee Brown's always at Inman. She's always the MC. Great people. Nicole Nicolay, if you know that name. And we've got confirmation of two great Century 21, former Century 21 people and current. Rick Davidson, the CEO and president former CEO and president of Century 21 coming on, and Joe Villascusa, always one of the top 3 offices in the world when it comes to Century 21. But that's the future. Now is Sekou, and thank you.
Listen, man, I am honored to just be a part of that lineup, bro. Any lineup that includes Tom Ferry, I'm like, oh, there you go. I'm doing something right. Dave, I gotta throw something back at you, man. So here's the thing. Like, so everyone listening, everybody watching now, maybe watching in the future, this is important that you understand. Dave talks to us about how to get the brand new agent into motion. Dave so you got to understand that the new agent most times gets neglected in this cycle of business and growth, and it's natural. It's nothing personal. It's just you focus on the folks who are working. You got to make sure that they're taken care of. The new agent tends to get left behind. I have in David Finale, I have this dude who I could say, hey, David, what would you say to this new agent to do X, Y, and Z, or to get them to start it? As a resource, guys, this is an amazing resource that keeps coming to you, and he keeps doing it. I think you're crazy, man. You keep doing it, and you keep showing up, and you keep rocking and rolling, man. Your consistency is key, man. But your circle is tight, and the compensation, man, is just deal after deal after deal. So I'm saying to you, thank you for doing this, man, and thank you for being this amazing coach.
Thank you so much for that. That's amazing, and I'm very appreciative of what people have to say. And for me, I learned a long time ago consistency was important, and I wasn't doing it that well for a long time. And then I realized when I committed to this show that we're on now, today is episode 50.
Boom.
I have not missed a week, but I will tell you, I missed one Friday. It was the day after the banquet. I had food poisoning, and I was in bed all day. The first time ever in my entire life. But I did it the next day on Saturday.
There you go.
And so I did not miss a week. So when I talk about this, I'm constantly looking for people. I have a list a mile long of great people, and it's never going to end. Just great people to get on this show. I mean, people from all over, like North America. So it's really cool. But one of the things that makes them really want to come on, even though I've had, like I'm going to have Tom Ferry in August, just his schedule is kind of messed up. Not messed up, but it's just busy, right?
I got you.
You got the summer going on. But I've had Chris Smith, who's great, Jimmy Mackin, Steve Harney, Tris Leto last week. And that was an amazing one, talking about 5-minute lives. If you missed that one, go back
and see it. Yeah.
But everybody comes on for one thing, Sekou, and I didn't talk to you about this, but I know you know about it. The hat.
That's what they want. I was wondering.
Yeah. So with you, I can hand deliver it. I can save the $4 on postage.
I'm coming up.
One of these is being a part of it. We've just ordered some new ones as well. But look, this is real estate skill, but that's me. I spent almost about 21 years of my life owning a brokerage, as well as years before that and during that, building and developing and managing properties and investing in stuff. So I try to bring all my experience together, and sometimes I don't know what's coming out of my mouth, honestly. I know I'm different. I know I'm not for everybody. But you know what? I really don't care. I just care about helping people, as you said. I want to thank Connie for coming on, Tatiana, Donald Myers, and Angie Constantini for being on and commenting. But there's plenty others that have been on this. And look, if you're on, thanks so much. If you have any questions, feel free to DM either me or Sekou. Sekou, how do people get in touch with you?
I'm easy. Sekou is Sekou, right? Sekou. It's spelled almost close to what it sounds like, right? Sekou at Homes by Devoe, DEVOE.com, right? Sekou at homesbydevoe.com. I'm gonna leave you guys with this one thing, right? So David talks about taking action, performance, et cetera, right? So goals. What is it? Goals, opportunity, action, performance, right?
It's goals, commitment, action, performance.
Goals, commitment, action, performance, right? So here's what I'm going to give to you guys. It's a little trick. It's a treat. It's what I do every day, right? I spend the first 10 minutes of every day in reflection. I ask myself the 3 most important questions, right? The 3 most important questions are, what do I want to achieve? What do I need to achieve it? And how does the world benefit when I do? Right? What do I want to achieve? What do I need to achieve it? And how does the world benefit when I do achieve it? And so that gets me up and pumping every single day. I'm committed to it. What do I want to achieve? That's my goals. I'm committed to it. What do I need in order to achieve it? Right? And how does the world benefit? The action that I take, the product of what I'm doing, how does the world benefit when I do it, man? So finale, man, I appreciate it. And I love you guys, man. Thank you.
Hey, Sekou, thanks so much. Stay on for a minute. We're gonna go and say thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and peace to all. Happy Flag Day.